What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Pure Golf page and podcast. So, if you guys didn't know, I've been in the Philippines for probably 3 weeks. Finally just got back. It's been a crazy experience. That's why you haven't seen as many posts because of Wi-Fi and the travel and just everything. And then also, side note, I just got a brand new job. So, a lot of things are happening right now, but we are going to keep this page going. We're going to keep it rocking and rolling. So, I'm very excited for what we already have planned for you guys with pre-recorded videos and stuff that I've already done in the past, but this interview in particular is one that I am incredibly excited for. We're bringing back Fred. If you don't know Fred, he's got a very specific mindset to golf when it comes to golf. He's been preaching a green and regulation theory. So I wanted to bring him back on. We're going to talk about his golf journey because he's trying to pursue professional golf. And also he's going to talk about his philosophy when it comes to the green and regulation theory. It's helped my game a lot. That's why I wanted to bring him back on so that he can also instill some wisdom into you guys as well. So if you guys do enjoy, please like, share, subscribe. If you're listening to this on the audio version, hit that 5-star rating for us, man. We're going to bring back podcasts. It's going to be more consistent, especially since I now have a new grasp with what's going on, especially with my new job and then trying to balance this as well. So that's pretty much it for me. We have a lot of stuff instilled for you guys that are trying to break 80 or trying to break a specific score. I really tailored this podcast to you guys as well, especially towards the end. Just check the video description notes for all the things that we kind of talk about. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's jump into the interview. Fred, what's up, man?
Going, man? You doing all right?
Life's good, man. Everything is good. What about you?
Oh, good. Games going good.
Yeah.
Got a little adjustment in my swing,
Okay.
and but it's gonna pay off. I know it's gonna pay off. Let's put it that way.
I'm
I'm
curious.
stoked, you know.
I'm curious. What little adjustment are you making?
So if you go back and you look at like some of my swings on my TikTok, you'll see I move probably 2 inches off the ball before I even start the club back.
Okay.
So basically what I'm trying to do is stay in one, instead of moving sideways off the ball, sit still and rotate.
Nice.
And basically I've noticed while I might be shooting a couple of scores like 2 or 3 strokes higher right now, I'm noticing I'm picking up like 2 to 3 more flush shots around.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
they're going on them too and whatnot. So,
No, that's awesome, man.
And like it's what it is.
Do you have a swing coach, or are you just kind of self-analyzing your swing right now?
Self-analyzing, honestly. I find I'm not one of those guys that's like so self-righteous that I don't want help. No, if I find somebody that can, help me, I definitely listen.
Yeah.
But I've been blessed with the knowledge to know that if I hear something from a coach or something that I don't necessarily vibe with, I don't go with it, man. But like if I find something that like helps, I go with it.
I'm with you. No, I think that's the beauty of it, man. You just got to take what works with you, and obviously not all coaches work for everybody. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of my boys that are trying to go pro or in the collegiate level. Like they just take a little bit of information here, a little bit of information there, and then they're good. So
film studying, man. I do a lot of film study.
I got you.
On different players and myself as well. So I'm always trying to stay on the ball with it. Anything I can learn.
Hey, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
We have the RSM Classic at Sea Island. It's a PGA Tour tournament there. And I got to pre-qualify. I got to go through 2 stages of qualifying to get into that event. I got a pre-qualifier that if, I get through that, I get into the Monday. And obviously if you get to the Monday, you get to the tournament. So that's a big event coming up that I believe is in a week and a half. So I'm currently in preparation for that. My game's good. Me and one of my best friends, plus handicap, Weston, he and I have been grinding on our wedges. I noticed coming out of my college career, my wedge game was not very good, and I figured if I want to win at a high level, I'm gonna have to get these wedges dialed in. So working on new techniques with that, my wedge game is like miles better within a 5-6 month span. So I've just been grinding on wedges. Talked about that, tweaking my swing that I'm working on right now.
Do like a quick little summary of how much it really takes, because you kind of mentioned pre-qualifier to get into this PGA Tour event. Like, what are the certain stages for like a complete beginner? Like, lay that out for somebody real quick.
In past, what I saw, I did a pre-qualifier up at it's a few years ago for the same event at the Legends at Chateau Lawn. And so basically the pre-qualifier, you have 5 spots that are available. So top 5 and ties get into the Monday. I've never made it into a Monday qualifier. They are extremely difficult. I mean, you got guys from all over the country that come and they play and they try to get one of those 2 to 3 spots, I believe, that are available for the PGA Tour event. So basically, like, if you go online, your state will have different tournaments on your so like for Georgia, it's the Georgia PGA section, and they'll have a list of events from the Georgia Am, 4-ball, all kinds of big tournaments.
Yeah.
And you will see it on there, and anybody can go sign up, and you have to have a certain handicap. I want to say it's less than 2 or like
I think
a
it
1.
is. I think it is a 2. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't not, I mean, I get why they do it, but I think it should be open to everybody. But anyway, getting to the point, you have to have a certain handicap. You put that in, pay your registration fee. Typically it's a registration fee for the pre-qualifiers. It's $250. So you get in, if they accept you, they'll send you an email, and then they tell you when the tournament's going to be, what golf course, and typically Monday qualifiers are on site. So at Sea Island, across the channel, we got Brunswick Country Club there. They'll have it there the Monday, and they have the tournament, the RSM, on the Plantation course and Seaside course at Sea Island. So
yeah. How many?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many spots are you fighting for? Like, how many people will be in this event, and how many people will kind of like make it to the next round? Let's just say that.
You got numerous pre-qualifiers. So I'm in the one at King and Prince on St. Simon's.
Yeah.
And so I believe there's 30 to 35 players already signed up. I believe it's getting close to the deadline, so there might be a couple more squeeze in there.
Gotcha.
In there.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've had you on the podcast, so I appreciate you coming back on. And I know that you specifically wanted to talk about a few things. Like, for example, the first thing is like the development of the game. Now, you left that open-ended to me, so I just assumed it's your own game. But like, is there anything specifically that you want to talk about with that?
Well, that was more to the development of the game of golf.
Okay.
That's something that I'm big on. I see a lot of junior golfers, a lot of mid amateurs, some guys single digit, but I've been doing a lot of film study. I've really cranked that up, and with the greater regulation theory that I'm using more, I'm finding more data to back it. I'm going to be writing a book soon on it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes with it. And what I've found is, the game of golf is angled from where you miss it. So the problem with that is you're limited to par. You're limited to pars and bogeys. And that's why there's such a dispersion between players, professional players, and amateurs. And because it goes like, you got high handicaps, then you've got like the amateur level, then scratch, then professional. Why there's such a dispersion there is because people aren't practicing the right things. It's ball striking, it's putting, it's scoring.
Yeah.
And I see that at the development level with junior golfers. They're taught to miss the ball in the right area. That is not going to provide like low scores for you. And recently I was watching a lot of film on Tiger, specifically from the Butch Harmon era. So the tour average for greens and regulation hit today in 2023 is 13. That is your tour average. Now, Scotty Scheffler is number 1 in the world. And at the conclusion of this PGA Tour season, he had the 7th lowest scoring average in the history of the PGA Tour, which I believe is 68.69, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged 4 under par. Now, he averages 14. So he roughly averages 83% of his greens hit. Now, when I went back and I watched film on Tiger, specifically in that Tiger Slam era, what I found was he was averaging 15 to 15 and a half greens in regulation. Well, what does that say? That means that Tiger is giving himself 2 more putts at birdie during the round versus the rest of the field.
Right.
So just then, if you looked at it analytically, he's going to make more birdies on average than everybody else in the field because his ball striking is so much better. See, we have this misconception that Tiger is just some god or some it's a mystical being. He's a regular dude, okay, that just practiced the right things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to explain to people out there today is it's like, if you really focus on ball striking, your scores are going to go down because you're not going to hit bad shots.
Yeah. And I kind of want to harp on that just a little bit more. So we're talking, if you guys didn't listen to the last podcast that I had with Fred, I mean, the biggest thing that Fred really, really harps on is like practicing those irons and those shots into the green, right? Because the more putts you have, the greater opportunity for you to score. That's the biggest thing that he's really trying to harp on with everybody. And like, as I'm listening to that, you're saying, well, Scotty's at 14 greens in reg, Tiger's at 15 and a half, let's say 16. Well, I'm thinking, oh, well, that's only two putts per round. However, if we're talking about like a 4-day tournament, that's 8 more putts that he has the opportunity to score in compared to the rest of the field. So like that stuff really, really adds up. And I enjoy what you're saying right now because it makes a lot of sense. And what's funny is like ever since the last podcast that we had, right? I actually took to heart some of what you said. And I was like, I'm just going to hammer out. I know the course that I'm playing at. It's the one I play at all the time. And I know exactly what clubs I will have going into the green if I just execute my tee shots. And me practicing that, I have actually scored a lot better because of what we talked about, like way more. My green in regulation went from like 15, 20%. Now it's up to 40, 45%. And I'm making more birdies per round. And I'm just scoring a lot better. Like my rounds feel more comfortable to me. And we're going to get into this segment. And we might as well just jump into it now. Like, how can amateurs get better? We say all this stuff about Scotty and Tiger.
You have the mind and the body. And if you look at players through history from Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, they're training their mind as well as their body. So it's psychological and physical ability. The first step I will say to people who want to get better, okay, if you want to lower your scores, go ahead and throw away the psychological idea, the strategy, if you will, on missing the golf ball. Pick a spot, hit to a spot. You have to be precise when you're talking about scoring. Mo Norman, who is a massive influence on me, hit to a defined target area. Now, that area can be 25 feet or it can be a foot. It's a defined target area. We're not looking to miss it in a 50-yard wide window. So hit the C spot, hit the spot. That's simple. There's, and I'm telling you this from personal experience, playing at a high level. That's what these guys are doing. Find the target, hit to the target. And then third, it's ball striking. This is the physical element. So I just spoke about the psychological. Here's the physical. Go to the range. It's as simple as trying to hit the ball as flush as you can. We're not talking about sitting here grinding on swing plane. None of that. Nobody's swing is the same. Take the swing that you have and practice as hard as you can on just flushing the ball. It's that simple. That's what ball striking is at its core. It's flushing the ball.
Yeah.
And I always ask people this, like I said, because no one swing is the same, right? If you hit the ball everybody's hit a flush ball at some point in their life. If you hit it the way you want to, how many shots will you miss? How many times will you really hit the ball offline? It's not about the misses. It's about, ball striking and putt and scoring. I mean, that's how you do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're playing your shot, right? Not everybody is going to hit a push draw. Some people will play like a pull cut, whatever it is. But as long as you're playing the shot that you're confident in, and it goes back to your point, like you have to put in that work on the range. If you're not putting in the work that Fred's talking about, Fred always harps on like moving dirt, always, like nonstop. And Fred even talks about like how, you're going to swing your swing and you're just focused on striking the ball perfectly rather than like the mechanics of it all. Well, what I believe is like, if you're practicing to that extent, you're going to find out more about your swing as you're continuously practicing, especially as an amateur. Like as long as you're putting in the effort and the reps, you're going to figure out more about yourself. I mean, Fred is in a position that not a lot of us are in, where he's about to enter qualifying for the PGA Tour. And he just realized recently that he's been kind of swaying off the ball just so slightly. And that's not just from like one swing. Okay, let me look at it. Okay, bang. It has been years and years of just practicing over and over and over those repetitions, to where all of a sudden he's like, okay, where can I improve? Oh, well, I've just hit about 2,000 balls. I'm starting to notice that I've been swaying off the ball a little bit. So I think that's one of the biggest things for amateurs. Like, before we get into all this, you got to put in the work on the range. You got to put in the work and figure out your shot shape and your swing. And then once you begin to start puring the ball and everything like that, then you'll begin to score. That's what we're trying to say right now. I'm going to take 30 seconds really quick just to say thank you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for allowing us to grow. It's been an incredible experience so far playing golf and being able to post it. So if you could, please help continue that by liking, sharing, and subscribing. It's allowing me to do what I've always wanted to do, and I cannot thank you guys enough.
I always use the example of collegiate players and professional golf. So I don't remember, you could look this up if you wanted to, but the percentage of players, and we're talking about from NAIA, NCAA, Division I to Division III, it doesn't matter. But the amount of players that make it to to professional golf, from the Korn Ferry to all over the world playing professional golf, right, touring, it's so low, because what they teach at the collegiate level does not translate to professional golf. They talk about missing the ball in the right spot and short game. Well, all that, you literally put a ceiling on yourself, and that ceiling is par. Shooting 4 straight 72s in a PGA Tour event, you're not even going to make the cut, really. So it's very rare that happens. Yeah. It's about hitting to a spot that you want to hit to and making the putt. It's that simple. Like this, and like Mo Norman said, and I will quote him, is hit to a defined target area. Yeah. And that area can be a foot or it can be 30 feet. It's that simple. Right. And you're talking about scoring. I actually just saw this on TikTok. There's a guy on TikTok, Evan Thompson, big golfer in like the industry. And he just entered, I believe, a qualifying for the PGA Tour as well. And he missed it by one shot, and he shot like 6 under on his final round. Right. And you're talking about, well, a lot of people are satisfied with shooting even par. Like, I personally would be. But like, if you're getting to the level that you're talking about, you've got to score, man. And it's like, if you're an amateur, why don't you start learning now? Right. And I think it's great. I love the philosophy you have, because it inspires a lot of people. I see your comments, and people are like very intrigued with your work ethic and like how you're putting things into practice. Right. So let's talk about like some of your inspirations, right? What has like specifically influenced you in your journey in golf, especially recently? I mean, I know you've changed up your practice to focus on more wedges. Like, tell us, who are some of your inspirations in that? Oh man, Mo Norman. Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Mo Norman, anybody who watches this, the best ball striker of all time is Mo Norman. He had it figured out, how to do it in a more simpler way with the single plane golf swing. And I understand where Mo's coming from on these clinics that he would do in the 90s and in the 80s and 90s, and what he spoke about with moving dirt, and his the secret that he had figured out was the vertical drop and the horizontal tug, and he inspires me every day. Me and my best friend, Weston Satt, we watch so much on Mo, because what you're seeing is somebody that actually figured it out, that actually knew what he went out there in Canada where he grew up. Family never watched him hit a shot in person. I believe the only time they ever saw him hit a golf shot was on television, and scrutinized by the PGA Tour because of they say he was autistic, but I don't think that should have anything to do with a player. And now he did it his own way. He was his own man. He didn't please anybody. He did it because he wanted to and did it his way. And that inspires me every day. I'm trying to change the game of golf. And I'm like, how do I change a game that's hundreds of years old? And like my buddy told me, he's like, well, look at Steve Jobs. We go back to telegraphs, man. Look where we are now. It can be done. And I see the game of golf going in the wrong direction. I see the game of golf. Why do you think Tiger was so much better than everybody else? Not because he hit the gym. I love it because he holds the game of golf accountable. He says, "Who are you to think that you should be able to win all these events, do all of this?" I'm paraphrasing. Who do you think you are to do this if you don't put the work in? That's simple. Yeah. It's that simple. You have to put the time in. And my like Mo Norman, Ben Hogan, George Newsom, Lee Trevino, everybody got it out of the dirt. No TrackMan, no swing aids, just good old fashioned.
Just get out of the dirt, baby. That's all it is. And I looked up Mo Norman for 2 seconds. The literal first thing that it says is Norman was self-taught and never took a golf lesson, right?
Correct.
Which is talking about he figured it out himself, exactly like Fred said. He got it out of the dirt and he figured it out on his own. And I think that's really incredible. And I can see the similarities. You're preaching what he's saying, and I can see it in your own golf swing, man. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see. Are there any other theories that you want to talk about? I know you mentioned theories on the game. I know we talked about like green and reg, trying to increase that, trying to learn how to score. Is there any other things that you want to harp on before we move on?
What Mo spoke about, hitting to a defined target area.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough because, well, people all the time look at me and they're like, well, of course, who wouldn't want to hit 18 greens in regulation? But I'm like, hold on. You're thinking hit it to a foot every time. I'm saying, and Mo laid the groundwork to a degree on this. He didn't create the green and regulation theory, but he was on to something similar to this. And it's your defined target area can be a 25-foot area. As long as you hit that spot, you're fine. What's your handicap?
Mine currently is at like an 8.5.
That's not bad. Really, it's not.
Thanks.
You're now at that verge of being in the 70s. Things are now, you are about to start getting fun.
What's funny is I actually haven't even released it yet, but I did break 70 like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, my best score ever was a 79. And yeah, I'm at that point now where it's like I'm starting to score. It's starting to be fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, isn't it? Like, remember the last time I came on here and I was like, we were talking about tee shots, and I'm like, everybody talks about short game, and I'm like, well, what the heck is the point if you hit 3 balls out of play, and now all of a sudden when you tee up the third ball, you're hitting.
Oh, I know.
Right? What's the point? Like, I mean, I was talking to somebody that was like, what's really the difference between a double and a triple? Let's just be honest. Like, it's 2 birdies versus 3 birdies that you're going to have to make now to get that one hole back. What's really the difference between a double and a triple? You know what I'm saying, Zach?
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
I've been there as well, man. It happens. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and my next thing is I want people to know, like, just because somebody gets a scratch or these professional golfers, they're all hitting bad shots in practice. See, what you see on television is all these great shots they hit. Why do you think they show that? Right. TV, make money. These guys are playing to their standard bad golf in practice. But it's through that. You can look at it one of 2 ways. You either suck or, okay, I can learn from that and I can figure out how not to do that. And it's that simple. Like yesterday, I went out, I'm getting ready for this tournament, and I shot 76. What was the problem? I hit 3 holes. I hit my tee balls out of play. I made a double on one of them, had to re-tee, and 2 more times I did that. Mm-hmm. So I now know, okay, let's work off the tee. Yep. This golf course is on marsh. There's no room to – you got to learn. You got to learn. So don't think just like everybody hits great shots all the time, because that is not the case. That is – I promise you it's not.
Yeah.
Everybody plays –
I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you. What should amateurs do to improve their scoring?
Learn to hit, like I said, to a defined target area. Mo Norman spoke about that. Find your spot that you want to hit to. Focus on hitting to that defined spot. Don't think about the water on the left or right. Focus on hitting to your spot. And then the second thing is ball striking. Short game does not matter. Ball striking is king. That wins you money. That gets you low scores.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out here trying to make it, and I'm telling you from personal experience, like, these cats out here that are really, really good, it's ball striking. They don't hit balls out of play, and I mean, the two are out. They're hitting 13 greens in regulation, so they're only missing 5. And where they're missing the balls at, they're missing it in areas like on the collar, or they're giving themselves the most easiest chip in the world.
Right.
So, like, I'm telling you from out here in personal experience, trying to make it out here is that's what it takes. Like, got it, ball striking.
I mean, the dispersion is just night and day compared to your 100 golfer and the people that you're about to have to go up against.
Oh
And
God, yes.
yeah, so no, Fred, we're rooting for you, man. I'm really excited, especially with this tournament coming up. You said it's in a week and a half.
Yes.
You're gonna have to.
It's on the 9th, November 9th. So
Okay.
I think that's like a week and a half. I
All right,
think.
got you. Yeah, you're gonna have to update me, man. Let me know how it goes, and you're gonna have to give me some analysis. You're gonna have you back on so you can kind of lay it out for us. You know.
Man, I love what you guys are doing. You guys are growing. I saw that the other day. I was like, man, I really appreciate how honest you guys are. Like,
Yeah.
what you guys are doing is so great because you're giving people the insight on like what it takes to break 80, and
Yeah.
then from there get to 60.
Absolutely, man.
Nobody
Absolutely.
else out there doing that. I love that, man. Like, keep doing what y'all are doing.
That's why I love having people like you on, because like it gives people an insight that like a lot of people don't have access to, right? You know, a lot of beginner golfers, they're listening to their other 20 handicap friend rather than listening to somebody that's actually been in the mud, been
Yeah.
doing it. You know what I mean? And I love bringing people on that can really harp on it. But I've got about 4 questions for you. And these are just like very specific questions. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. You're going to see it on our TikTok as well. Okay. So these are very specific questions that I wanted to bring on for Fred, that I just kind of thought through. Right. And so, yeah, so let's start with the first one. So, how have you seen your game progress over the last year? And what are the biggest benefits you've seen to the amount of work that you've put in? Because you're probably one of the hardest working people that I know in general, not just golfers, but just people in
Appreciate
general. So
looking at film, and then recording stats. I mean,
mm,
Zach was talking about 100 rounds of statistical analysis where we looked at it and we're like, well, okay, we're missing this many green or fairways, this many greens. What's
yeah,
the magic number of putts in a round?
mm,
And I had a whole spill on that. But my wedges, I figured out my wedges were not good. Proximity to the hole was not great. I didn't have a flighted wedge shot. Well, I had one, but it wasn't dialed.
yeah,
Nothing that I could rely on in the clutch. Getting a flighted wedge shot with my 56, 54, even my pitching wedge, where I could knock these wedges down, have more control into the wind, crosswind, and even downwind. So it opens up a whole new dimension of scoring for me that I did not have in college. I could say for my whole college career, I did not have that dimension of scoring at my fingertips. And now I do, thank God. And I'm always going to practice ball striking until the Lord says it's time. So my ball striking gets a little. It's so hard once you get to the scratch level. Like if you're a 5 handicap and then you start with really grinding out ball striking, you'll get to scratch in no time, in less than a year. But when you get to scratch and it's like it's like little golden nuggets you get, and it's like each year you might pick up one shot every 5-6 months. It's very that I pick, like I said, and then with that that improvement, like more or less side movement
way.
off the ball, rotational. Yesterday I saw it start to click, and it was 2 or 3 more shots that I would usually push or pull offline are now dead straight.
Yeah.
So I'd say wedges, and then I'm going to go to Mo Norman again. Mo said less moving parts. So the
Yeah.
less moving parts you have, the better.
I love it. I love it. So, we're going to kind of change this topic to something a bit more specific. So for anyone that is trying to break 80, right? That's the number one thing that we try and preach on this channel. What course management tips specifically would you give?
Focus on fairways and greens, like what we were joking about earlier, but really it was in our last episode that you had me on. You don't want to be giving shots. You don't want to be hitting anything out of play. That you don't even have a chance at birdie or par if you're hitting it out of bounds. Typically, you take your standard par forward OB line down the right and left, and you blow it left or right. Now you're reteeing and you're hitting 3. And if you do strike one down the middle, now you got to hole out your shot from the fairway for par. So first things first, you got to button up the tee. You need to hit the ball in play. And some people will say, well, I can't hit it down the middle every time. Well, you don't have to hit it down the middle every time. You got to get a ball in play. So that might mean left center of the fairway. It might even be left rough or right rough, but you got to get something in play.
Yeah.
So focusing on hitting fairways and getting the ball in play. And then second, greens regulation, define target area. If that pin is left center, okay, hit to the center of the green, and that's your defined target area. Things like that. So see ball to or see spot, hit the spot. That's simple.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that are in the 80s, they overlook that, because I'm the same way. I overlook that a ton, especially playing on courses that you played multiple times. You're kind of like, well, I already kind of know what's going on with this green. So if I just kind of just hit it, it's going to happen. But it's like you said, be more specific in where you're aiming and trying to execute those shots specifically. That's really, really good. That is really good. Let's talk about this, because we kind of talked about tournament golf with you starting. You know, you're about to enter into one of the biggest tournaments of your entire career. Describe the difference between tournament golf and normal golf.
Well, tournament golf it's really hard. That's I'm sorry, Zach.
That's good.
I'm a simple. My thing is more simple the better. It's really, really difficult. It's the realization of there are no mulligans. There are no let me drop one and hit it. I don't even do that in practice, but unless I'm just playing around, and I have a few of those where my buddies, we go out and just have fun. But tournament golf and getting ready for it, you try to simulate your practice, like the nerves. You try to get yourself nervous. I always try to get my nerves up over a shot in practice. I can really only do it like 2 or 3 times in practice. It's very hard to do that because what's at stake?
Right.
Like your environment around you is so controlled now. But then when you get into the fire, dude, that's when the nerves come on. That's when it's like, oh, every shot counts, every putt counts. There are no gimmies. You got to go make that 2-footer that you left short from 15 feet up the hill. Now you got to go make that, and that 2-footer might be right edge. And if you hit it too hard because of how nervous you are, you might play through the break. So it's about simulating. The difference is how much more difficult the shots are and the mental approach, because every shot counts now. There's no breaks. You get what you get. Like the result of the shot's the result of the shot. And it's so cliche, but whether it's a good shot or bad shot, you've got to move on. Even good shots, you cannot relish over the fact that you had a good shot. You literally got to like let that go, because there is such a thing as getting nervous over how good you're playing, not how bad you're playing, but how good.
Yeah.
So it's just the difference, and your practice simulates everything. If you can, Scotty Scheffler talks about getting nervous in practice, and that's really good because now he can simulate somewhat of what a tournament's going to be.
We mentioned it earlier. Evan Thompson missed it literally by 1 stroke, and he would have been in a PGA Tour event. So, I mean, yeah, it's like you said, every single shot counts, and that's really good. I love that, man. Final question that I have. So we kind of talked about like tournament golf and normal golf, but let's talk about the players specifically. So in your eyes, what is the biggest difference you see between amateur golfers and tournament golfers?
The lack of mental focus to shots. I've noticed I caddy out at Sea Island, so I have a good front row seat to this a good bit. The difference is like their mental approach to a shot. So like what I've noticed, tournament golfers hit to a defined target area. So usually you have a practice round. You see, okay, if it's a dog leg left, I want to be right center of the fairway, holes 345 yards. So let me hit this 2-iron down under right center. That gives me 9-iron to pitch and wedge somewhere in there. Regular amateurs get up there and they'll see, oh, it's a dog leg left. Let me try to take the corner, and then they blow it right or hook it left. Now you're reteeing, then hitting 3.
Right.
So it's the mental awareness, the mental focus of strategy in going about the shot. Where do I want to hit this ball? Which goes back to what I was talking about with Mo Norman spoke about hitting to a defined target area. Whatever that spot is, hit to it. That's your difference. The mental approach to it.
Yeah, I want to make this very clear that everything Fred's been talking about is like pre-shot. This isn't even like with your swing or anything like that. This is literally just all your preparation, your pre-shot routine before you even execute the shot. And I just want to emphasize that, because golf is such a mental game, especially with the level that Fred's getting at is it's incredible. And that is definitely the difference between night and day between amateur golfers and tournament golfers. It's incredible, man. I love it.
With this with my best friend Weston the other day, and we were talking about this, and I said the green and regulation theory is going to change so much as soon as it catches fire in the game. And why I say that is because everybody's looking for the physical solution to the swing. They hounded Ben Hogan his whole entire life when he started getting good about the secret. What's the secret, Ben? How do you do this? How do you do that? Same thing with Tiger. What did Tiger do that was so? And then you hear these theories about, well, where Tiger brought the athletic standpoint to the game of golf. Well, yeah, he did, but that's not why he won. It's the mental approach. The green and regulation theory is anybody can use it and lower their scores.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who you are, what class of person you are. You if you use it, it helps every single player at every level get better, from professional to amateur to junior golfers. I mean, it doesn't matter. And it's the best bogey avoid, because if you want to go with the negatives first, it's the best bogey avoidance. If you want to go with the greatest thing that it is, it's the best scoring advantage, because you give yourself access to 100% of the birdies. So this is what I'm trying to put out there, and this movement of it helps stop all the bogeys and it helps make all the birdies. In its simplest form.
No, that's as simple as that. And like Fred says, I mean, if you're somebody that is in the 80s, in the 90s, right, and you're trying to lower your score, I know, like when I was in the 90s, I was trying to make less bogeys. That was literally my thought process when I was in the 90s, was trying to make less bogeys. Well, Fred's offering you the solution. If you want to think of it through a negative standpoint, this will help you make more pars. It'll help you score better, even if it's not birdies, So, okay, man, that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. My last point is, I've said this over and over again with people, is if you're good enough to hit all 18 greens in regulation, you're good enough not to three putt. If you're that good a player. So when I tell people, I'm like, if you're scoring at, like, okay, you're an 8 handicap, you said?
Right.
What do you average green and regulations wise?
My green and regulation, you're asking like percentage?
Yeah. Like, how many do you hit around on average?
I'm actually genuinely like around 50% right now. That's kind of where I'm at.
About 9.
Yep.
Okay. Zach, let's say you go up to 12. Let's say you hit 3 more. You know what I'm saying? I say you're a good enough player not to three putt any of those greens. I mean, if you hit a green of regulation, you can two putt pretty easily from 25 to 20 feet, 20 to 25 feet. And it just comes down to that. Like, all these things matter. Like I said, I'm out here, man, trying to make it. And that's what these guys are doing.
Yep.
And the media in golf they've taken distance and they've blown it up so much. And then, like, when I see my friends in college, or I see collegiate players, or I see junior golfers, are out here just beating driver as hard as they can. They wonder why they can't score because they're hitting that out of play. I'm like, well, bro, that's not, you're not going to make it doing that. You got to have some kind of secondary third. Like, you got to have layers to this, man.
Absolutely. Fred, thank you so much for coming on and giving us some insight, man, because like you're teaching me, like you're teaching me stuff that you've seen that I personally haven't seen. And I know a lot of people that will be listening to this, first off, get to know more about you, especially if they're coming from your following, but also like understand the process of what it's like trying to make those big tour events, right? Trying to make it to that such finite percentage of people that actually make it. And so, yeah. So Fred, thank you so much, man. Are there any final words before we sign off?
Hey, man. Like, just, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. To me, there's 3 points that I always try to live my life by, and it has to be in this order. You got to have God first, a work ethic, and belief in yourself. And you got all 3 of those in that order, you can really do anything you want. And I can't stress that enough. I mean, and how I'm very thankful that you guys allowed me to come back on, and I would love to come on again in the future, because I love what you guys are doing. Yeah. Like, you guys are doing something that, like, I'm doing stuff that other people are not doing. Same thing with y'all. I love the insight you're providing, because you guys are providing valuable insight on those foundation levels. Imagine somebody who's 25 and never swung a golf club before finds your account on TikTok, and they see that, and all they know is, before they see your account, is golf's hard. But then you show them the step-by-step plan on how it goes. And now all of a sudden they're looking at it and they're saying, well, gee, man, if they can do it and they just showed me how to do it, I can do it now. So you guys are doing amazing, and I love it. I love it a lot. Like it, it works.
That's awesome, man. Dude, Fred, you fired me up, dude. And we're definitely going to have you back on once the tournaments are done. You're going to update me, and we're going to keep this going, and we're going to have you back on so you can kind of talk about what happened, like what the tournament was like and everything like that. So absolutely. Absolutely. Well, everybody, Fred's TikTok, his socials will be linked down in the description below. Fred, again, thank you guys so much for coming on. Fred, thank you for coming on. And yeah, we will catch you guys later. Peace.
Yep. See ya.